Welcome to the June 15, 2016 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. At this time, I would request that you silence all of your electronic devices and then please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Applications for rezoning heard during tonight's meeting will be voted on by the Planning and Zoning Commission during the meeting. The Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendations on the applications will then be submitted to the St. Charles County Council for their final decision on the items. The individual items and bills for these applications are scheduled to be introduced at the Monday, July 11, 2016 County Council meeting. Applications for preliminary plats heard during tonight's meeting will also be voted on by the Planning and Zoning Commission during the meeting. The vote this evening on the preliminary plats is final. Only a recommendation for denial or on a preliminary plat would be heard before the County Council. The following documents are introduced as a matter of record for the public hearing and regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. The Unified Development Ordinance of St. Charles County, including zoning maps, the year 2025 Master Plan for the St. Charles County, which includes the year 2025 Future Land Use Plan map. Can I get a motion to open the meeting, please?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of a roadmap on how the evening goes. What we do is, for the people who are not familiar, and I know a lot of you are familiar with what goes on in these meetings, but we bring the applicant up. We actually read the application into the record. We then ask the applicant to come. We ask the staff for recommendations and their analysis. The council or the commission then has opportunities to ask questions of staff. After that, we go ahead and bring the applicant up. They present their case before us, and we have an opportunity to ask questions of them at that time. After we're done with the applicant, we then open it up to the public. Everybody in the room has a chance to speak, but just remember to try to keep your comments brief, 3 to 5 minutes. If it gets too long, I'm going to go ahead and cut you off. Also, if it's the same issue as you've heard over and over, I would really like to get the applicant up to respond to any of those concerns. So if you don't have anything new to bring before us, keep that in mind. But if you need to be heard, I'm not going to stop you from coming up. Once that part is done, and you can do it for or against too on the public comment portion. Once that's done, we go ahead and close the public comment. We bring the applicant back up, and at that time, we ask them to answer any of the questions or concerns that the people had here in the audience. At that point, the commission then has the opportunity to discuss among themselves, and then they take a vote on it. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, our first rezoning request and revised preliminary plat for the Bluffs at Windcastle. The application is RZ16-00009 and PRE 16-000005. The engineer is Sterling Company. The developer is Lombardo Homes of St. Louis, LLC. The property owner is Swindle Family Trust. The current zoning is R1A Single Family Residential District, 1 acre lot size. And the requested zoning is R1B Single Family Residential District, 20,000 square foot minimum lot size. The number of lots is 2, and the area is 1.76 acres. The location is approximately 620 feet south of the terminus of Fairdale Lane and 500 feet east of intersection of Castle Bluff Drive and Windcastle Place. It is in Council District 7. Staff?
Thank you. The adjoining zonings include to the north is R1B, single-family residential, and the R1B zoning is also found to the south and the west. To the east is zoned R1A and R1B, single-family residential. Area land uses include to the north, south, and west of the vacant future subdivision, the Bluffs at Windcastle, and to the east is a single-family residence in the future subdivision, Bluffs at Windcastle. Sorry. The future land use plan shows the area to be low-density residential with 1 to 4 dwelling units per acre. In reviewing the zoning case, staff finds the the proposed zoning appropriate at this location. We have rezoned the adjacent area to R1B, and it is well within the future land use plan of 1 to 4 units per acre maximum. It's also in keeping with the zoning of the R1B zoning at Windcastle Plat 2. And there's also other areas of Jacob Station Road that are in the R1B district and also in the PUD with R1B. So staff is recommending approval of the zoning change. Relative to the plat, all of the changes that staff requested on the plat have been made. The street network fits in with the Bluffs at Windcastle, and so the plat is just an amendment of that Bluffs at Windcastle to add this extra acreage in, and it will include two additional lots, and they've realigned some of the other lots, but staff is recommending approval of the plat as well. Yes, sir?
Did we get copies of any of the opposition letters?
There were no letters.
It was under letters received.
I'm sorry? No, there were no letters received on this application.
Okay,
The letters were on the other application.
okay.
Any other questions of staff? Seeing none, let's go ahead and bring the applicant up then. And just so you guys know, we have 2 votes on this. We have one for the zoning change and one for the preliminary plat, and then we'll be doing those separately. Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address for the record.
Brad Goss, 1475 Fairgrounds Road, St. Charles, 63301.
Go ahead, Brad.
There really isn't a lot to say. The staff comments and the staff report really speak for themselves. The zoning surrounding us is all R1B, with the exception of a small portion of land to the east that's R1A. And all we're doing is incorporating this 76,000 square foot tract of ground into the already approved Bluffs at Windcastle, and making the zoning consistent with that R1B zoning, which was approved not all that long ago. With respect to the plat, what essentially happened was we created 2 lots out of this tract, but then we also took advantage of being able to adjust some lot lines in the development. By doing that, we were able to make all of the lots side entry garage lots. The commission may remember that because of some topo issues before, there were, I think, like 8 lots that we thought were going to be problematic in terms of making them side entry, and that was something that was desired by the Windcastle residents, so we make all the homes side entry. So we did take advantage of that, and we also had better topo at this point before we were working off USGS lines. So there were some adjustments of lot lines. Again, that was the purpose of trying to, the purpose of doing that was so we could achieve that goal. And other than that, there really aren't any changes of any kind of significance, if you will, with the developments. It's consistent with what was approved before. I'd be happy to answer any questions the commission might have.
Any staff, any questions from you guys? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and open it up to the public now. And again, if you're going to speak tonight, make sure you fill out a speaker's card so we can get you on the record. And we're going to go ahead and open up for or against, doesn't matter. If anybody wants to come and speak on this matter. Come on up. Raise your right hand.
Oh,
You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name and address for the record.
Beverly Ruff, 21 Windcastle Drive, St. Charles, Missouri.
Go ahead, Beverly.
I was involved in the previous negotiations and planning and zoning meetings and the county council meeting regarding the rezoning of Plat 3. We still have not reached an agreement with Lombardo Homes as we had thought we had, because it just keeps getting changed and things keep getting added by Mr. Goss and his staff. And I don't feel comfortable that they're adding 2 more lots and, just changing boundary lines. I'm just saying I don't believe them, because they have not followed through on everything they promised before. So that's what I have to say.
Have any questions for Bev? Thanks, Beverly. Anybody else want to come up and speak on this matter, or is it time to do it? Come on up. Raise your right hand for me. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address for the record.
Frank Tocco, I live at 28 Windcastle. I just want clarification. I think I heard Brad correctly when he said that this rezoning, and I presume, has a plat been submitted for these lots?
Yeah,
So this is 2 lots.
2 lots.
Is it 2 lots that's being,
It's up there on the screen.
so,
I mean, it's a little hard to see.
so
but-
this parcel of land that is 2 lots is, I mean, that's what they planned for, correct?
Yeah, they just added 2
They're
lots.
not going to take 2 lots and change it to 4?
No.
Okay.
Once this preliminary plat gets approved, everything else is basically the same, other than what he said was side entry garages. They're actually correcting some of that
Okay.
issue we
I just
had.
wanted to be
Yeah.
clear that that was the case.
Yep. Is there anybody else that wants to speak on this matter? Please come forward. If not, I'm going to go ahead and close the public portion of it. I don't know that we need to bring the applicant back up on this, I guess, unless you want to come up and speak on it again, but, okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and close this portion of it and bring it back to commission. Do you guys have any questions on this?
What exactly is the status of everything that we talked about several months ago? Where do we stand on all that?
Well, I mean, the preliminary plat is done, and there's going to be a gate. That was one of them. But there is no agreement between Windcastle, HOA 1, 2, and Lombardo Homes at this time, and it's been going on for over 6 months, the back and forth between attorneys. I mean, I'm just going to say, because I live in HOA 1, we've spent $12,000 in attorney fees trying to negotiate, and every time, and I know Beverly came up and said something about it. It's become way too complicated is what's happened. They're adding way too much to it. And I'm not sure where this is all coming from. I don't know if it's coming from Lombardo. It might be coming from Plat 2, which is Sue Schaefer. I guess Brad could comment on that if he wanted to, but I don't think he will. Okay. So, I mean, if you want to, let's bring the applicant up, we can ask a little bit more about that.
Yep.
So, and again, I'm just letting you know, I've seen all the paperwork on this. It's tremendous. It's a lot of changes. It's been going on for a lot longer than it should, and it really should be a lot simpler than it is. And I know attorneys get involved. A lot of that happens. They're trying to, cross the T's and dot the I's. So that's kind of what's happening. And a lot of that hasn't happened is the problem.
So this piece of property is not really going to affect anything else that has been discussed up to this point?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So you want to comment on any
The only comment I would make is the Windcastle Plat 2 has not been involved.
at all?
No, at
Okay.
all.
Yeah, and I couldn't
No,
tell
they
by
have not.
I couldn't tell by
No.
what was put in.
What we did was, we did get drafts. We prepared a draft that was only addressing Windcastle 1 with the idea that that would be the template for amending Windcastle 2. So it would be, because you had to amend both declarations, so rather than send out a template for amending Windcastle 1 and Windcastle 2, and then you make a change to Windcastle 1, you have to make that to Windcastle 2, it gets more complicated.
I think it's pretty
The thought-
complicated now, to
Right.
be honest with you.
It
Yeah.
may be.
Yeah,
But
it's
that's
become
what
too
we did.
complicated, Brad.
And we did that to keep it simple,
Yeah,
and we didn't add any issues.
yeah.
Well,
Well, I disagree with you on Brad. I mean, again, I'm not going to argue with you about this.
Okay,
That's
good.
for argument between attorneys. Our association is going to meet on this and discuss what to do about it.
The email that I received today, yesterday, from your council said that they, because we had reached out to them after the agreement had been held for a month by them, was that they, at one point, was that they were told that they couldn't proceed further, that they were to stand down.
Yeah.
So we are waiting for them.
The council?
And we are looking.
County council you talking about, or?
No, I'm talking about your
RHOA?
lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, your lawyer told us, the email I received said we were directed to stand down, or to
Right.
do nothing further, so we were waiting for that.
That was yesterday, though.
Yep.
Not
And before
5
that,
months
we
ago.
waited for a month.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm not,
None of this is relevant to this.
right, that's
I don't
right.
think so.
I agree. But, you asked, so I'm answering it. All right. Any other discussion on this? You can't come up and speak in, Beverly, I'm sorry. Yeah, you can give that to him later. It's not going to make any difference, I'm sorry. I've tried, but it's not. So I need a motion on this. I need a motion on the zoning change first.
Move we pass RZ 16-00009.
And a second?
Second.
So it's Mr. Ellis, Mr. Griffin, was it?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Setley,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Cleary.
Yes.
Mr. Leonard,
Yes.
Mr. Fromm abstains, Mr. Kuhn,
Yes.
and Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
So that passes 8-0
Mr. Chairman, I move we pass PRE 16-00005.
I'll second.
We have a first and second by Ellis and Griffin. Mr. Griffin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Cleary.
Yes.
Mr. Leonard,
Yes.
Mr. Fromm abstains, Mr. Kuhn.
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
and Mr. Setley.
Yes.
That would be 8-0. Thank you. So we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda, and if you guys want to leave that are Windcastle related, you can. Okay, we have a PUD zoning amendment at 4401 Maclay Road. The application is PUD 16-000002. Applicant, Bax Engineering Company Incorporated. Property owner is Michael Stanford. The current zoning is R1E Single Family Residential District. Requested amendment, rezoning from R1E Single Family Residential District to CO PUD, Commercial Office District, with a planned unit development overlay district, and an R1E PUD, Single Family Residential District, with a planned unit development overlay district for a proposed banquet center and single-family residential use. Wow. Area is 10.25 acres. Location is on the north side of Maclay Road, approximately 400 feet east of St. Peter's Howell Road, and on the east side of St. Peter's Howell Road, approximately 300 feet north of Maclay Road. It is in Council District 5. Staff?
Okay, thank you. The adjoining zonings to the north and east is R1E, Single Family Residential District. To the south is I1 Light Industrial and R1E, Single Family Residential. To the west is C1 Neighborhood Commercial and R1E, Single Family Residential. Area land uses include single-family residences to the north, south, and east, and also to the south is automobile sales, and to the west is a gas station, single-family residential, and baseball fields. Okay, we had this before us, I guess it was just last week. And staff recommended denial based on the C2 zoning that was sought and being integrated into the residential neighborhood. They have submitted this plan. The green area on the plan is the CO office commercial part of the PUD, and the brown is the single-family residential part of the PUD. Staff is continuing to recommend denial. The building that they are proposing to build, the structure that will house the events, is still located in the northeastern part of the property up against the single-family residences. This is the building that they plan to construct. This is the existing historic home. Staff finds that this location and back towards the residential area is still inappropriate, and we would like to see it located more towards the center of the property. They did change the alignment of the drive as we requested. I'm sorry, there was one other thing. We still find the circulation pattern here. These are, it's hard to see, and I can't zoom in on this slide. Let me pull up another slide. Okay. Another concern we have, these handicap spaces that are located here, this drive going out to Maclay, or this drive from Maclay Road is going to be a one-way drive into the site. We're concerned that people leaving these handicap spaces, their natural tendency will be to turn back and exit out the one-way drive, just by the way the drives are situated and things. So staff still has a problem with those angles. So staff is recommending denial. We did receive letters. There was a letter included for you, the applicant's response to the staff recommendation, letters of opposition from Gary and Donna Furch, Susan Barton, Bill and Gwen Struckman, and a written protest from Sandra McPeak. Are there any questions of staff?
Yeah, Jan, on the one from last month, it was 8.21 acres, and this is 10.257. Where's the additional 2+ acres?
The additional acres is the single-family residential area. They added that so that they had both a residential and commercial component to their PUD to conform with our regulations.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff?
Just two summary things. You said you had a problem, number one, where the banquet center is and its proximity to the homes, is that correct?
Yeah, this is the,
I guess, let me
Yeah.
rephrase this. What changes would you have to do with the layout so this would be good with you guys on
Well,
staff?
we were recommending that the banquet center be at least 200 feet from all neighboring residences.
Okay, that's
At this location, it's probably right around 100 feet, maybe a little less. And it just brings a lot of activity back into that far corner of the site. We think that the banquet center could be located elsewhere.
So if
It's
that was
not, staff doesn't try and redesign projects,
Right.
but
So it was relocated, then the handicap parking might not be an issue because that would have a different configuration.
right,
So the
right.
key-
We'd have a totally different
The key is the location
situation.
of where it sits on the land.
That's
Okay.
the key.
Thank you.
Any other questions of staff? Seeing none? Oh, go ahead, Robert. Sorry.
I just add a bit here, a little bit about the process. Since we don't do planning and developments very often, it's basically a three-step process, and we're at the conceptual stage, conceptual approval process. So the two parts of the conceptual approval is there a concept plan and a rezoning that would go hand in hand, and it would go from this body to the city council, and they would make a decision, yes or no, with your recommendation. If that should get approval, then they would come back with a final development plan, which is more details. So at this point, the concept plan is really to address things like how do the land uses relate to the neighboring uses? And it doesn't necessarily have to be super detailed, but it should be enough detail to give some assurances to the applicant and allow them to move forward with doing the final plans. And so we would, the project holds a lot of promise, and we do have some recommendations for how to strengthen the project for the applicant and for the neighbors to reduce any potential land use conflicts. And one of those, which was mentioned, was the at least 200 feet separation between residences. We think that that would strengthen the project and reduce land use conflicts. What do I mean by land use conflicts? You know, noise and lights and those sorts of things. I'll just give you a quick example. I've gotten a number of calls about a tavern that's located in a commercial zoning district about 50 feet from a residence. We've gotten about 10 police calls over the last few months about that particular tavern for peace disturbance, for other things as well. But I guess the bottom line is when you have a situation where those sorts of land uses are so close together, you tend to get more land use conflicts. And so is there a design solution here? That's what we're really trying to get at. And we're trying to guide that process. But I would say that the project does hold a lot of promise.
That's why I asked, because to probably simplify this, because last month when we heard this, there was so much opposition. We went back to a rezoning and find some compromise to make everybody happy. And I think everybody thought it was a good project at the time and probably still does. I think if this goes through tonight, and I guess this issue which Jan brought up, the 200 feet, would resolve a lot of the issues I'm sure we're going to hear about with the neighbors with being adjacent to the other properties. So you're saying with a concept plan, you feel pretty comfortable at the next stage getting this thing resolved and having the conference center placed on the land where it won't be objectionable to the objections that we have right now and we heard last month?
Well, in our staff report, we have 6 recommendations. And with, if the plan could be modified some to meet those 6 recommendations, we feel like that we could support the approval of the concept plan.
When you talk to the applicant, how was their response to those 6 recommendations?
They can, actually, several of them they've agreed to, such as the realignment of the driveway to line up with the street to the south. They did move the building about 15 feet west, and that's as far as they felt like they could move it for various reasons, and they can explain that better than I can. But they have some concerns about moving it much farther than that. I think they could talk about that better than I can.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, let's go ahead and bring the applicant up. Go ahead and raise your right hand for me. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address for the record, please.
Larry Walker with Bax Engineering, 221 Point West Boulevard, St. Charles, 63301.
Go ahead, Larry.
Thank you very much. Quite a few things were covered already. I won't rehash all that. I think I'll dive right into some of the revisions we made and some of the staff comments, as was just mentioned just a moment ago. Since last time we pulled the request for straight zoning due to some opposition across the board, staff, everyone resubmitted a plan development to try to ensure that we were going to maybe limit what could happen on this property, which what we're doing with the plan you see that we submitted. We have a few reserved areas of residential. The green area is the commercial use that we're referring to. One of the things is we proposed, I know that there was a comment last time about the strip of ground to the north, leaving that as a residential use. There really is no other use of that property other than the access to the existing residence back there. That's their driveway. It's an easement over the property, but proposed to maintain that as residential. The extra 2 acres that was referred to earlier is proposed for the applicants or the developers' personal residence in the future, so that was left as residential. As you're standing on McClay looking in the residential lot to the left was left as residential also, they don't have any plans to develop that, but since we needed a commercial, according to staff, we needed the commercial access to McClay Road. We had to have frontage that was commercial, so it created another residential lot to the left as you're looking from McClay. They don't have any plans on developing in that, but again, to ensure that there wouldn't be any resident or commercial development in an area along McClay, left it as a residential use. Circulation, this is a concept plan going along with the submittal. There will be more detailed plans with final plans, construction drawings, and all of that sort if we get to that point. There's some solutions for the or accessible spaces outside the venue. One thing just off the top of my head, we could force the handicap to access from kind of the back side so they weren't in that large drop-off area. So when they came out, it would be more of a transition to the rear of the property and out the one way. We'll do what we need to do to satisfy staff, any concerns, requirements, signage, to parking reconfiguration back there for the accessible spaces to ensure it's one way. I mean, you can't help it if somebody's going to break the law or whatever you want to call it and drive out the wrong way, but we'll do what we can to ensure that people are going to go in the proper direction, the one-way direction. The location of the building, I think that's one of the bigger things. The location of the building, we left it roughly in the same place as we had it previously. The way the building is going to be constructed, it's going to be enclosed on the rear sides towards the residential. We pulled it a little bit west, maybe 10 feet only, but that gives us a separation to the property line itself in the very rear of the building of 89 feet on one corner, 76 on the other, and the short distance towards the north is 59 feet. That's to the property line. We are proposing 25-foot buffer yard back there also, which exceeds any of the county requirements for buffer yards between commercial uses and residential uses. Do plan on planting that as required as a buffer yard and work with the neighbors if they'd like to see, you know, a certain number of trees, certain type of trees, bushes, what have you, to provide that screening. But being, you know, any typical commercial zoning, I mean, if I have a building and we're 89 feet, 76 feet, 60 feet from adjoining residents, that's, and all the things I've done in all the years, that's a pretty good, not too bad of a distance. I know it's in somebody's backyard, but if the buildings move to the other side also, it's something to think about. The old house, the old house that sits, the historical house in that courtyard area is going to be right there. There's going to be, whether it's photos, maybe a small wedding or something happening in that area, that's going to be right there in the back of the residential area, even though it's going to be the 90 feet and then whatever it is to their house. So somebody's going to be able to be looking out right at that rather than the back of this structure. It is going to be a very nice structure. It's a timber frame structure. It's called a barn, but the structure itself, I don't know that, and I know I'm probably getting outside of the review of maybe this board, but it will be solid in the rear. It'll open to the front towards the courtyard, and that will provide screening, another buffer, if you will, between the residents right there at the rear and what goes on in that little courtyard area. So the applicant really, just the way this flows, functions, everybody will come through the home as far as the weddings or if it's a part or a reception of some sort. Through the home, you got the courtyard, the barn really needs to be right there. That's their opinion, our opinion. I think the circulation thing is easily taken care of. We're providing the buffers required that exceed county requirements on that backside between this type of zonings. As Ms. Whipple mentioned, we realigned the front drive to line up with the street along McClay, across the street. Some other maybe more engineering things. We do realize that there's jurisdictional waterway running through the property. We will have to stay at least 25 foot off top of bank unless we'll have to reconfigure, or I should say, upgrade the little crossing across the ditch. There's an existing culvert that'll have to be improved. Whatever approvals are needed for that, but we realize we'll have to establish that 25 foot from top of bank buffer yard, and it'll be put in a vegetative, I forget the term that the county has, a permanent undisturbed area for to maintain that vegetation and that buffer for the creek. So realize that we got to do all those things and comply with code. And I think I kind of covered a lot of those items. And I'll let Ruth Choate come up and touch on anything that I might have missed, something she wants to elaborate on. And we'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Anybody have any questions for Larry at this time? Okay.
Sure.
Okay, long time no see.
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address for the record.
Ruth Choate, 104 Lindy's Landing Court, St. Peters, Missouri, 63376.
Go ahead, Ruth.
I don't know how much you want me to reiterate from last month, but my fiance, Mike Stanford, and myself purchased the property almost to the date 3 years ago. It was June 26 of 2013 when we purchased this property. And since then, we have done an extensive amount of work on this property. When we bought it, it was a 192-year-old stone house that was completely boarded up. All the windows were busted out from vandalism. There was vines growing in the windows. You couldn't drive down the road for the vines in the road. The neighbors had told us that there was, we weren't privy to that information, 6 or 7 junk cars on the property. The owners never cut the grass. They never maintained any part of the property whatsoever. They were older and in failing health. I cut the property, I have a landscaping company, so I started cutting the property, mowing it almost a year before we even purchased it. So I was there every day working on that. But to recap, there is a 192-year-old barn on the property also that's still there, and a 70-something-year-old guest house, and they're all located towards the back of the property. Do you guys have this in front of you also? The guest house and the stone house have always been located close to adjoining neighbors to the backside. They can't be moved. That's where they're going to be forever and ever and ever. The whole reason we purchased this property was because of this house. We wanted it, we thought that it needed to be shared with the general public. It is going to be on the Historic Society home tour. Bob Stanford has our house on the October 1st schedule for the home tour, and they're very excited because it's the very first time ever in 200 years this house will be open for the general public to walk through and enjoy it. We have spared no expense when it comes to this house and this property. We have, there's been people said that we're over our heads. We're definitely not over our heads, but there would be no other reason for us to have done any of this if we can't share this house, because we're never going to live in it. Mostly the house itself will be used for small intimate weddings in the front, the main floor great room where the Daniel Boone fireplace is. The mantle there was carved by Daniel Boone. He was a friend of the Cottles who built the house, the people that formed Cottleville. So there's a lot of history with the house, and we want to share that with everybody because most of the people that lived in this neighborhood never even knew there was a house existed there. This 200-year-old house was there. People drive by all the time and stop me when I'm up there at the top of the road and say, I can't believe this house, I never even knew it was there. It's back in the woods, and it was so encased in vines that you couldn't even see the house. So that's our main reason that we could do this. So we're excited that we're going to be on the historic home tour, and we have rented a forestry mulcher. There's been a lot of talk of some people thinking that we had cut down trees. We didn't cut down any trees that weren't dead. The only trees that we did cut down were dead, but all the rest has just been vines and underbrush. And so now you can see the house from the road, but we haven't cut down any trees, and we want to spare and save any trees that we possibly can, and that includes trees that are around where the parking lot will be. So Bax has kind of come up with an idea for us to have, I don't know what to call it, but like basically islands around the trees that are there. So as many trees that we can save, we will save. There are 2 very large sycamore trees on the property that the Arbor Society has told us are the oldest sycamore trees in the state of Missouri. So we have tried to make this property as much of a park-like setting as we possibly could. So any neighbor that ever looks out their window isn't going to go, oh my gosh, look at that eyesore. No, that's what they had before. They had a meth house in the back. They had homeless people living on the property. They had drug addicts. They had people that were vandalizing the home. You know, it was a total eyesore. So what we've done so far is what we consider raising the property values by what people will look out their window and still see today and in the future after, you know, if we get this thing approved, what they'll see once we're finished building. We don't want anybody thinking that we're not a great neighbor. We want to be the best neighbor. We're not talking about you know, everything that we can think of, we've thought of about where the trash receptacle is, what everyone sees when they look out their window. And we have barely scratched the surface. Our landscape project right now for the stone house, just around the stone house, the estimates are right around $150,000 just for the landscaping. So that can kind of give the neighbors an idea. This is not an eyesore of the neighborhood. I'll tell you everything that people have mentioned to me, and we have tried to come up with an answer for every single one of those things. But we do believe that their property values will go up. I mean, we bought the property for $420,000. We now today have to insure the property for $1.2 million. So our property values have gone way up. So I can't imagine why there's, I don't know that. I don't know how that works, with appraisals or whatever, but that's basically what, we're at today. There's a big creek on the front of the property, and we want to keep that natural stream. We don't want to plow over it and put pipes or anything like that. We want to put a nice, big, new, beautiful stone bridge. And like I said, we don't plan on cutting down any more trees. With the PUD, if you guys remember in the last meeting, it was more so that everybody kept talking about being straight commercial. They were afraid of what would happen if we were to sell the property or the business would go under or whatever, because they didn't want a strip mall, or they were afraid of what would come after us. It's my understanding that in a PUD, you can set parameters of what can be on this property. If that is true and that is the case, we are perfectly fine with a banquet facility, or however you guys want to word that. We do not ever plan on building anything else within that green commercial area other than being a wedding venue. And that way, if it is, if we die in a fiery car crash tomorrow, no one's going to come in there and decide that they want to put any other commercial business in there. So that would be a question for you guys, if that's the way a PUD is worded.
So can we ask a few questions?
Yeah, sure. I want a few more things. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be as brief as possible, but I'm trying to get everybody's issues in. That barn that they showed earlier, the reason why we want to put it there is because the two closest neighbors, like I said, the stone house and the guest house will be there all the time. We planned on public restrooms in the first floor of the guest house. The groom and groomsmen will get ready in the second story of the guest house. The bride and bridesmaids will get ready in the second story of the stone house, where they'll have approximately 3 hours prior to their wedding to take pictures. So when they are ready to come out and be married into a ceremony, they will be coming out of the guest house and they will be coming out of the stone house. So if the barn is located somewhere else on the property, I'm not exactly sure how they, navigate their way through the property. It is 10 acres. It's not like they can walk from here to there and they're where they need to be to get ready. But that's why we put the barn there. There's a big, beautiful courtyard that'll kind of be the center of the property. And if we move that barn, then the neighbors that are right next to us will have line of sight to all the guests, and our guests will have line of sight directly to those neighbors. And with the barn being there, that takes that completely out of the equation. That is the best buffer that we could possibly give any neighbor at this point. And we're not talking about being right on top of them. We did take pictures today of the big open fields that they have now, that they've always had with this property, and that those big open fields will still remain. If they want a fence, or if they want bushes and berms and flowers and any other kind of plants, we will perfectly be happy to give them whatever it is that they want behind that very, the large building where the receptions will be. I said last month that it is made of timber framing and SIPS panels, and SIPS panels are styrofoam insulated panels, and the whole entire backside is 120 feet by 10 feet of storage space. And we could, if we need to, we could figure out another way to possibly soundproof that portion of it.
So
but
Ruth,
pardon me?
I know you're passionate about this.
Yeah.
We pretty much know what's going on with this
You
property.
do, okay.
So we've heard it from the last time, and I know you're passionate, you want to tell us all about it, but I don't know if the commission wants to ask questions, so I want
Yeah,
them to be able
sure.
to do
I'm
that.
trying to think if there was anything else. Oh, there is something. One other thing. I'm so sorry, because you're going to
Okay.
wonder why I'm giving you this information. I've been 3 professions in my entire life since I was 16 years old. The very first one, I waited tables with Mike Linghammer at Mr. Steak Restaurant. And I waited tables for 11, 12 years of my life, and I worked with a lot of large parties, and I did a lot of training with intoxicated people, or how to maintain intoxicated people.
Yeah.
So I understand how that works.
So
and
Ruth, I appreciate it. I want to get to the
okay.
questions. I mean, I know you've
because
got a lot
these
of
are things
information.
that they're worried about.
Let them come up and speak
Oh,
about
okay.
it, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So is there any questions for Ruth at this point? Do you guys have any?
Are you going to have any outdoor functions?
On the front hill, in front of the stone house, in seasonal weddings, they will be outside right there in front of the stone house, on
So-
that big, big hill out there.
You'd have a wedding, a full wedding and a reception would be outdoors?
No, I don't think the receptions are, I mean, I don't plan on any outdoor receptions. I don't know that anybody would ever ask me for that, but it will be in the barn, the new barn.
What
How
is
about,
the capacity of the barn?
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up, because we are making the barn big enough to hold a 500-person wedding. And a lot of people went, gasp at 500-person wedding. Has anybody here ever been to a 500-person wedding? I don't know. My son was married and it was 450 people there. But on average, there's not. There's very seldom. It will be a possibility to have that, but I think the average size wedding is around 200 people at max, but I want to have it to where if someone has a 500-person wedding, they can have it there. But mostly there isn't, so.
Mr. Kuhn, you still have another question?
you're gonna, I read somewhere you're gonna have the food catered in?
Yes.
You're not gonna do any food service
No.
inside?
Sess and Judy's, Patty Long's, we've talked to a lot of them. They only need hot and cold running water, 3 sinks, and 220 amp service. And then that storage space.
Okay.
Can I suggest Madison's Cafe?
Yeah, sure.
No, that wasn't my intent. Okay.
Why? Are you at Madison's or something?
Where's that? Where's
I
that?
don't know.
Where's Madison?
I don't know.
Any other questions for Ruth?
I'm sorry. The second thing that I started out as a radio disc jockey after I left the radio. And no, there's a reason for this. Because I
understand.
went into, I used to do very large outdoor events. I did remote broadcast and I did large rock concerts outside. I did them for Mills Mall, St. Louis Fair and Air Show. I mean, a lot. I have access to some of the best sound engineers in the entire country. And so if I need to worry about sound for my next door neighbors, I promise you I can handle that. And the third thing, I told you already, I'm a landscape, that's what I do for a living now. I have a landscape company, and I now have 10.25 acres of a park light setting. There's not very many people out there that can handle 10.25 acres on a weekly basis. So everything that I've ever done in my life has kind of put me to this point. So I definitely can handle that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, let's go ahead and open it up to the public. Again, try to keep your comments. I know she was able to speak a lot, and so was the engineer. I want you guys to keep it to 3 to 5 minutes if you can. Be as succinct as possible on it, and try not to repeat the same things that seem to be a problem for you guys. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and open up to the public, and don't forget to fill out a speaker's card too. So is there anybody for or against that wants to speak? Come on up. Yeah. Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address for the record.
My name is Rick Cannon. I'm a resident of Spring Valley Woods subdivisions off of McClay Road and Woodstream Road, just east of this proposed development.
Go ahead, Rick.
Okay. My question might be more for St. Charles County than it is for the applicant, but I would like to know what changes are planned for increased traffic volume at the intersections of McClay and St. Peter's Howe Road, and the intersection of Central School Road and St. Peter's Howe Road. During the afternoon rush hour, it's very difficult to travel from eastbound Central School Road and make a left onto northbound St. Peter's Howe Road. And this is due primarily to the fact that traffic coming off of Page has the option to make a right turn on the northbound St. Peter's Howe Road on red lights, so they continually block up the intersection. You may sit through several lights trying to get onto St. Peter's Howe even today during afternoon rush hour. Sure. And I know that between those two intersections, that section of the road is always backed up with cars from one light to the other. I'm just wondering what thoughts there might be to this increased volume of traffic that might be created by this development and those traffic signals that are already congested today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that wants to speak on this? Please come forward. Come on up. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address for the record.
I'm Frank Reese, number 3 Linda Lane. What I'm concerned about this, when you have parties and people drinking and that, and music, you're going to have noise. I moved where I moved, for peace and quiet. And I think what it's going to do is ruin the neighborhood, and the property values will go down eventually. That's what I'm wondering about, see? Because when you have 200 or 300 people drinking, they get loud. I've been around parties. So that's about it.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wants to speak on this matter? Please come forward. You can give her the card afterwards. Thank you. Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name and address for the record.
Sharon Caro, 4234 Weatherton Place,
Go ahead, Sharon.
St. Charles. I'm a resident of Spring Valley Woods, and we're just east of this proposed development. And I'm also a member of the Watershed and Erosion Control Committee. And we have creeks that are running all through this entire area. And last year, we had a creek collapse in our subdivision. The creek bank collapsed, and it was threatening to collapse a road. So I got involved with this committee to see if we could find out what was going on with this erosion, because a lot of the people in our subdivision was saying that they were having problems with erosion. Anyway, we surveyed our subdivision, and we sent out 180 surveys through email, and we had about 80% of these people respond saying that they are seeing excessive stormwater and having erosion from this excessive stormwater. And a third indicated that the problems have gotten worse since with the development of new businesses and the Page extension and so on and so forth. On several occasions, the water has come up over our main road, Wood Stream, but in May of 2013, the stormwater came up and actually floated some cars. So one of our concerns with this development is that the stormwater, any time that you put in roofs, parking lots, driveways, you're creating runoff. And one of the concerns is that I have seen there at Maclay and St. Peter's Howell back up just from a rain. And then when you take this runoff and you're dumping it into the creek, I want to be assured that that culvert is big enough, because apparently the culvert under Wood Stream was not. And we took this issue to St. Charles County, and they are now doing studies to, impact studies to replace that culvert, because they've determined that it's not big enough.
So we'll bring them up and ask them if there's, how much property is going to be paved and how much is going to stay wooded, because a subdivision could do the same problem.
Oh, and I understand it's relatively small, but I think this is something that we're seeing all throughout the county, and it was just something that I wanted to discuss and bring to the attention. And I would probably ask that maybe moving forward in a lot of these developments, that people start considering using some things to retain the water on their property, such as water gardens, plantings that are going to retain the water, that sort of thing, to start thinking about this erosion it is destroying other people's property.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Is there anybody else who wants to speak on this matter? Please come forward. Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address for the record.
Mike Geiger, 4325 Maclay.
Go ahead, Mike.
I am an expert in the wedding industry. I represent florists, photographers, caterers. I have been doing this for the last 10 years. I don't work with the brides, I work with the experts that work with the brides. My experience has been, from my many years of doing this, is that we are going to have nothing but one big party every weekend, 2-3 days a day. 2 or 3 days every week. You have 2 ball fields down the street from this party center. You're going to be responsible for the lives of the children who are playing ball there. Yes, you will not necessarily have one reception with 500 people. You will have 2 with 200 people, so you're still going to have 400 people sitting in the facility. Our property backs up to this property. I did not move here to live behind a bar. And this is essentially what you're going to do, is set it up with a band, music, loud people coming to a reception, 65% of them coming just to get drunk. I have some serious concerns of what you're going to do to our neighborhood and the people you're going to put in danger by putting this thing in the middle of a neighborhood.
Thanks, Mike. Anybody else wants to come and speak on this matter? Please do so. Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And state your name and address for the record.
Richard Hillscamp, 2835 St. Peter's Howe Road. My property is the white one there, surrounded by the parking lot. My house is 50 feet from the parking lot. It's going to destroy the value of my house as a residence. I will be forced to come back here and request rezoning to commercial as well, if you guys agree to change this over to PUD. I'll have no choice. My property's values are going to drop. I don't know how much, but it's going to drop. In all due respects to Mike and Ruth, they talk about all the money they spent. Well, my house and barn, they're probably worth $500,000 right now if I would sell it. You know, people aren't going to want to live on that property with all that noise. The lady just got up here about the water runoff. I don't know, they don't show any retention ponds on here, but.
Yeah, there's one down there.
Oh, there's one right there.
Mm-hmm.
There is a tremendous amount of, having lived there for 12 years, those creeks that run through there, it doesn't take much of a rain, that it just floods that whole parking area which is grass now, of course. And you're going to have a lot of water problems. They already get a lot of water problems down on St. Peter's Howe. When they redid the road, that helped. But we still, on heavy rains, it will get high enough down there where it doesn't run off quick enough and cars have to go real slow, right in front of 2837, which is right in front of me. I might have an option to change to commercial, but these people who are living around in the subdivisions, they're not going to have they're going to be screwed. Their property values, they won't have much option you can't change everybody to commercial. I'm an obvious choice. I'll be surrounded by the brown road and the green, but these other people, they're just going to have to put up with it. So after the last meeting a month ago, I never realized the details on this. After I learned the details, that's when I was definitely against the whole idea. And I think they say no one's going to live in that house. Well, they could move into the house. It's a beautiful house. They have done a good job on it. They can move into that house. Building houses on that property would be better than, it's zoned residential right now. There's a lot of creeks on there, which makes it hard to develop a lot of the areas because of the floodplain, but there are still a lot of land area there that you could build houses. But
okay. All right. Thanks. Appreciate it. Anybody else wants to speak on this matter?
I'm sorry?
I'm asking if anybody else wants to speak on the matter. Come on up. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address for the record.
Melissa Richardson, 3 Pines Drive, St. Peters, Missouri.
Go ahead, Melissa.
One thing that I am concerned about is everybody else has brought up property value, traffic, noise, commercial. Yes, there are other commercial properties in the area. We were all aware of that when we were kids, that Lions Club is 2 blocks away. C&H Ball Field is across the street. Those were there when we all moved in, and we were aware that we chose to move in 2 blocks away, not in the middle of our subdivision. I would rather hear a 9-year-old hit a home run and celebrate at 9 o'clock at night, and their parents pick them up and they go home, instead of 30, 40, 50-year-olds, 500 piling into their cars at 1 o'clock in the morning. So noise, traffic, yes, we were aware, but I don't want the other commercial property in the area to sway the council. There's already commercial close enough, let's just do it. Because our concern is what happens in 5 years when they go out of business. Nobody intends to go out of business. Just like when nobody gets married, they intend to get a divorce. I'm sure there's people in this room divorced, didn't intend on it. What's going to happen to my property? So that's my concern.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room that wants to speak on this matter? Come on up. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And state your name and address for the record?
Lisa Portilla, 4325 Maclay Road, St. Charles now, 63304.
Go ahead, Lisa.
So could we pull up the map that shows where I live? The plat map, please? I'll start talking while he's doing that. I just purchased this property. I've known the homeowners, the previous homeowners, for 20 years, and I've been waiting for 20 years to purchase this property. And when we pull it up and I can show you, you'll see why. So I made a few notes. I'll try to be really brief, and I speak quickly, so if I start talking too fast, somebody just call me down. The neighbors to the west of us, Barry and Kathy, had a family event tonight. They could not be here. We share the same sentiments. The neighbor to the east of me is moving. Her house sold a week and a half ago. So the neighbors on either side of me aren't here to speak. This is the one. I was wondering, could you put this one up?
If you put it on the,
Can you give us the
the
address?
overhead.
I'm 4325 Maclay. And then there's a strong reason why I'd like to show you this.
We have it on our sheets, too.
Okay. So I'm curious, I've seen 3 different sizes now, and on this map, it doesn't show the Powell property meeting the residential property. Does it in fact meet the residential property? Because a map earlier up there did show it, touching boundaries, our property lines, common fences. So can I show somebody and ask? I don't know who to ask.
Are you?
If you put this one up.
Wood property?
Yeah, it's the old Wood residence, yes, sir.
Then your property touches the proposed residential property?
Yes, sir, it does. I have 4 lots. I have a house on the street, the lot behind it with a garage, and 2 lots to the, was that south?
So
You're going to be down in that section.
That's my property right there, yes.
So you're going to be where the residential portion is.
And the one to the right. I own the lot behind the next 2 neighbors. Yes, sir. Those, all that is mine. And there's, if you look on this, there's a large pond back there. That's mine.
Okay.
I've been waiting 20 years to move in there, and now I'm there. And the neighbors over the fence, Barry and Kathy, said, hey, you know, they're going to do something with Powell Mansion. I've known about Powell Mansion. I knew people who lived up at the end of that road. I've been up there for the last 15 years. I know the gal who helped clean it out. I was in there when that was going on. So my point is that, like the last gal said, I moved there because I knew exactly what was there, and I want to live the rest of my life there. And to put a commercial property in there just seems so wrong. Okay, I've been to parties with 500 people. They get drunk, they get loud, they fight. My driveway, if they bring their driveway out to Maclay, is 1 driveway away. And then they said, well, maybe there's a chance somebody will, their attorney, I think, said, break the law and go down the wrong way. That's 1 driveway away from my driveway. Goodness, please, I implore you. I just moved there. This is not the place for this. Okay, now I'll get on to my notes so I can keep it. 200 feet away. They're talking about moving buildings around 200 feet here or there. Bands, cars, people, alcohol. The gentleman talked about how many calls they get to this bar near a residence. How much of that is going to go on? You're going to bring in caterers, trash companies, more traffic. It doesn't matter where on that property they put a venue for 500 people. We're going to hear them. We hear the 2 ball fields.
So Lisa, just so you know, we've already heard a lot of this, and I know now we know where you live and what the problems are going to be. We already know there's problems with noise, alcohol, traffic. We know all that. So
okay. I'll get to my notes. Okay, I'm a small business owner. I own my own small business. It's a boat and an RV storage business. I bought 117 acres and I put it at a lake. I didn't ask to put a storage building in front of anybody's house or in their neighborhood. This just isn't the place. This is a residential area. Like the lady said, we all bought property because it's a nice residential area and there's big green space. I'm asking you, I don't think any of you would want this in your backyard, and I'm telling you, I don't want it in mine.
Okay.
Let me get through stuff that hasn't been said yet. They talked about retention ponds. Mosquito breeding areas is what I hear. That's just great. You know, again, buffer, if they buffer with 56 feet or 256 feet, we're still going to hear them. You know, I don't want that every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Our neighbors originally told us.
So Lisa, I want other people to talk too, so.
Okay, it's just not the place for this. You know, we hear the ball fields. This is closer than the ball fields.
Okay.
It's not the place for it.
Okay.
They say they spared no expense. You know what, gentlemen? I spared no expense on my house either.
Lisa, I want other people to have an opportunity to speak
Okay,
to.
thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate it.
Cards go to?
Sheila. Is there anybody else in the room that wants to speak on this? And new stuff, too. I mean, we kind of know what the issues are. We want the applicant to have an opportunity to come up and address those, and we can ask questions of them, too. Come on up.
but.
Well, you don't have to.
No, but I gotta say this.
All right. Hold on, come on up first. Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address for the record?
Georgia Potter, number 7 Linda Lane. I'm just catty corner right across the street from the big stone house.
Go ahead, Georgia.
I think this is all being downplayed quite a bit by them, that it's just going to be kind of a wedding reception now and then. It's going to be a party center is what it's going to be. And you know, there's going to be all kind of venues going on there. And it's just going to be a lot of noise. And the traffic, the St. Peter's Hall Road can't carry that extra traffic. Like the other gentleman said, I mean, it's already backed up, you know, in between other lights. And all the things that she says that she's going to do or wants to do, I mean, she may be in earnest, but in reality, those are just words. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. I mean, she says, you know, she'll build this big wall if we want. I mean, what if the financing's not there and it doesn't happen? You know, it's just words. A lot of the things that may never get done.
Okay.
That's the reality of it.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the room? Come on up. Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And state your name and address for the record?
Cindy Wilson, 128 Tulip Tree Drive.
Go ahead, Cindy.
And I'm also a small business owner, and a lot of my friends have the same concerns that have already been voiced. And I was just wondering could it be contingent upon it? I actually like the idea. I have a daughter who's engaged, and we thought, oh, maybe she can get married there because it's right in our local community. But I don't want it disturbing any of my neighbors who are very good friends who are here, you know, with the ruckus that was already mentioned. But could this whole plan be contingent upon it being zoned a historical home? Because then if you know, it doesn't work out, then I'm assuming, and I don't know all the rules and regulations, that if it's deemed a historical home, that nothing else could be, it couldn't be plowed over and a strip mall put in.
Well, that can't happen now either in a PUD, just so you know.
Oh, okay. I don't know what all.
That was the change we made from the last time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's done a really good job keeping it up and everything like that, but I understand the concerns. So that was it.
Thank you.
All right.
Anybody else? Okay, we're going to go ahead and close the public portion of this and go ahead and bring the applicant up and try to answer some of the concerns of the people that are here tonight. Sorry.
As far as traffic is concerned, our primary business will be possibly Friday evening weddings, Saturday, only one reception on a Saturday, and Sunday bridal showers and baby showers. So as far as traffic is concerned, everyone is correct that St. Peter's Hall Road gets very backed up, but there won't be anything before 6 o'clock at night, Monday through Friday. So as far as traffic, it's not going to be affecting that. Our price point for a wedding and a reception will be as such that all of our venue weddings will be elegant affairs. These people keep acting like a pub or a bar or a nightclub. That's not really my intent. When someone's paying the kind of money that they're going to have to pay to have a wedding here, you usually get a little bit better crowd. We have retention basins in the property, so there is some runoff, like Richard was talking about, but that will be addressed in the parking lot plan. We plan on working with the local hotels to have drop-off of shuttles and pickup, and no wedding will go after 11 p.m. And the parking lot will be completely fenced, so Richard has only got commercial property on his back, the back side of him. There's no commercial property or surrounding him. There's no commercial property on the front of him. And that fence will be a stone pillar and white wood fence, and all the lighting will be on the opposite side of that, so that won't bother anybody. I forgot to say that we are building our own home eventually on this property at the top of the hill on McClay. We don't want another driveway to go out to McClay. We have it kind of, if you can see in the plan, curves to where we can use that same entrance. And that whole brown area behind where she's talking about where she owns the lake and stuff, that's all densely wooded property that we have not touched and we will not touch. So they will never see anything that's happening from their property on our property. You can't even walk through those woods. It's that thick. So I guess that's it, because like I said, all that top front property is remaining residential all the way back there to the lake or the pond, and then all the way down to Huck's. So that way everyone can rest assured that we're not doing any other commercial property facing McClay. So.
A couple things I asked Jen and Robert Myers answered. They had 6 items. Have you, that they...
I'm not sure what those were. I thought it was the road coming in that is adjacent to Harvest Drive and where the building sits.
I'm just asking if, are you willing to mediate on that with the...
Yes.
Yeah. I
Yes.
think last month, a lot of the objections was just for the zoning.
Yes.
And different people were here for that issue. So I think you've resolved that. But as far as staff is concerned, I think to make them happy, and I think you can probably resolve some of these problems with your neighbors.
Yes. I mean, as far as our feelings are that the barn being there next to the stone house and the guest house is the best place for it. The least amount of grading work would need to be done. If we move that barn anywhere else on the property, we always have to be within 25 feet of that creek, is what I understand. And the property is a gigantic bowl on both sides. It goes just like this from McClay on the back, front side, and on the back side, like Linda Lane can't see our property either, so those houses that are on there, no one's here that lives, that is backs to us on Linda Lane. So, but that goes down a hill there, and so there will be extensive grading work that needed to be done if we move that to the center of the property.
I'm just trying to resolve, because this is the second time
But-
you've been here, and Robert Myers said this is a concept plan.
Mhm.
He thinks it's a good plan, but it needs some tweaking.
Mm-hmm. We are more than willing to work with planning and zoning and figure out if whatever options. Robert, what other, you were saying 6 different things. Do you know what the other 2 things were besides the moving of the barn and the moving of the road? Do you know? Larry, I'm sorry.
This is,
Okay.
yeah, it's in the, excuse me, I'm sorry. It's in the staff report on pages 2 and 3. But the first one was to relocate the timber frame pavilion at least 200 feet from neighboring residences. I
Okay.
think that's the one that's the most difficult in your, in.
The
number-
landscape buffering was number 2, and we're fine with putting any landscape buffering that the county would require.
Yeah, and I think you're showing the 25 feet landscape buffering around the north
Okay.
part.
The entrance being aligned to Harvest Drive, we've already done that in the plan. One-way traffic into it. And also, they talked about that handicap parking can be moved if that's what they want. That's fine, too. We're not set in stone on any of that. But it definitely, as far as one-way traffic is concerned, that way it's easy access for people to drop off and go straight to the parking, so there's no backup of people dropping people off to, get out of their cars. And that was,
The buffers and that.
bioretention, that's in the plan, and the natural setbacks of the water course, and that's in the plan as well. So the only thing right now of the 6 things that they put were where the barn should sit. And we'll listen to anything that they have to say and, do the very best that we can to try to resolve that issue.
So, Robert, does this come before us again with an actual preliminary plat, or what? Or a
Well, the concept plan, you'd make a recommendation to the city council, and they would either approve it or deny it with the rezoning. And then, let's say they approve that.
Right.
Then they would come back with a final development plan and a preliminary plat. And then at that time, there would be more detail about how everything would be addressed, including like architectural renderings and things like that. That doesn't go to council, that just stays here. You either approve or deny the preliminary plat and
Right.
approve or deny the final development plan. Then the third step is actually the final plat, and that doesn't even come to you, that just comes to county staff.
Yeah. So really, we're just talking about changing the zoning right now. I mean, I know they got a concept of what they're doing, but.
Changing the zoning and approving a concept
Right.
plan. Approving a concept plan will allow them to give them assurances so that they could move
Can go on,
forward
move
with
forward.
more detailed final development plan.
Okay.
I have a question. I realize it's a concept, but about how many parking places are there on this property?
Larry, I think there's 164 right now, is that correct? I think there's 164.
And do you know about how much surface area that is paved on this?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's Larry, sorry. We can amend that plan too. That's just, what's on the plan right now is we're trying to save trees and make it,
Sure.
pretty and the one-way.
We
So
understand
if there's other options or ideas for that,
Larry-
then
Larry,
we're
do you
all,
have that?
we just have to save that. We definitely have to save that one sycamore tree that sits to the, I don't know, that you consider that the backside of the barn. That cannot be taken out.
Yeah, so,
I don't have that exact number, but just looking at all the impervious areas, rooftop and all, drive, parking, there's probably about an acre and a half possible. And we do realize that when it comes to stormwater runoff, county has requirements. I mean, we are proposing bioretention and/or detention depending on the amount of water that's running off to meet all those requirements. We do have to analyze, the water in the ditch, the creek. I'm sure staff would even ask for us to take a look at the box culvert underneath St. Peter's Howell Road to ensure that we don't make things worse. I mean, I know there may be an issue down there already to where the real excessive rain, maybe it floods, but the goal for what we do and what the county asks from us is we don't make anything worse and we hold back the water, the excess runoff. Changing it from grass to pavement and, control that amount. And the water does run west, I guess it is, actually west from the property, so we wouldn't have any negative impact upstream towards 364 Woodstone, or it's not Woodstone, it's Woodstream and that. But, of course, we're going to be adding more water to the, we'll have to control that water, that excess runoff from our property.
right. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and you guys are free to sit down. So is there any discussion on this up here?
I like what Robert said about, I agree with the concept plan, very familiar with the area, I think it's good. I think last month, they mentioned that a lot of the people that are going to be working here come from the columns, is that right?
Yes.
So it's not like this is their initial try at running a business. The columns had been around for many, many years, and you've probably experienced all the things that a lot of people out here were concerned about because you've been in that business before. So I think that's a positive.
Go ahead, Roger.
I got a question, staff. If we were to pass this, would it be appropriate to include the 6 recommendations?
Yeah, you could do that subject to those 6, even though some of them are already shown on the plan.
Even moving the building.
Well, that's,
But that 100-foot,
Yeah.
I think you guys have to work that out. If we say 6 specific things, I don't want to be specific, we don't know the right answer. We have to get something that everybody's happy with.
We've addressed 5. They've already been addressed on this plan, so.
Yeah,
the only one
we got it.
that's
We got it,
not-
Ruth, thanks. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions of staff or comments?
I have a comment. It seems like it's got a lot of potential to me too. It looks really good. And it's gonna be beautifully landscaped, and that's gonna be part of the appeal of it. But if somebody ever comes along and they wanna do an outdoor event there, out in your courtyard, that could be very bothersome to the neighbors. Could that happen? Like I said, should be, I don't know if I should be asking.
Big enough to have, I mean, it's, what do you say? I mean,
Ruth, come up.
I can't tell you exactly the square footage of the courtyard. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know that it would be big enough, but from the standpoint of how I would like it to be laid out, it's completely enclosed. It's encased with the guest house on one side, the barn on the other, and everything coming forward is all our property, is the 10 acres. So no one would be able to see anyone in the courtyard, and I have a hard time thinking that, I know how sound travels. Everybody talks about the ball fields that's coming all the way up that hill. It's like the sound will go up there. Everything would be going back the opposite way towards the ball fields.
Well, if you have a big
sound-wise.
band out there or something, it's gonna
I
travel a
can't,
long
I mean,
way.
I can't tell you that no one would ever want anything out there in that courtyard, but that's not the plan for the courtyard. There is not a plan to have weddings in the courtyard. There's pictures, I didn't bring any
Looking
pictures.
at this, the courtyard's about 50 by 40.
Okay, I just didn't know if there, people my daughter's getting married this weekend on a point at the Lake of the Ozarks, and people come up with a lot of different places to have weddings, and if you have one outdoors somehow, some way on your property, and it's gonna be loud, and it would be bothersome to the neighbors.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that the courtyard would be big enough for a reception, and that's where any noise will come from, would be a reception. But I definitely can see people getting married out in front of the stone house. I think that's where the majority of people will actually want to get married. That's just my personal opinion. And weddings themselves are not loud. I mean, I've not been to a wedding that's a loud event. I mean, sometimes they have like the music that you come down the aisle with, but that's
You didn't come to
usually.
mine.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that the majority of people are going to want to get married outside, but the reception I think the majority of people will want to be in the barn.
Okay.
And if they do, I mean, it'll have to be a very intimate affair. It'll probably be, I would imagine, just to seat tables in that area. I mean, I don't know if you could get 20 tables in there, and I'm talking like round 8-foot tables. I can't see that we would be able to fit that many even in there, but I don't know. I mean, I guess if there was 50 people or, something like that, and they decided that they wanted to be out there underneath the sycamore tree, I don't see it though. I see most people wanting to get married, but I can't say for sure. I've told everybody, 241 letters went out. I asked Sheila this morning, or this afternoon, 241 letters. That's how many people are within 3 football fields of our property. It's a lot of people. But all I can say is I'm there almost on a daily basis, and constantly people come up to me and go, is it almost time? Are you going to build it? Are you ready? We're really excited. And I'm like, are you coming to the meeting? They're like, why would I come to the meeting? I don't have any problem with what you're doing. So, that's the issue. People
Okay,
come when they're
Ruth,
not
it's okay.
happy.
Yeah.
So,
need
thank
to-
you.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have a motion on this?
I will make a motion
Mr. Griffin?
to approve.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard. Mr. McDonald, who was it? Who are we doing? All right.
Mr. Leonard's
All right, Mr. Leonard. All right, we have a first and a second. Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Cleary?
No.
Mr. Leonard?
Yes.
Mr. Fromm votes yes. Mr. Kuhn?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Setley?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
That would be 8-1, and that one passes. That does go to the county council on July 11th, I believe is what the date was, so you also have a chance to present your case to the county council. And there'll be other stuff that'll be coming before us for preliminary plats, too, so you guys have another opportunity on that, too. But I'll talk to you afterwards, ma'am. No, I can't. We'll talk to you after. You can wait. Just wait. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Ma'am, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll talk to you outside. I'll talk to you outside. Thank you. Yeah. He's lost his stuff. Okay, let's get back on the agenda. Do we have any tabled items? There's none. Approval of the minutes. Have you guys had a chance to read through them? Yes. Do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
A second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there any other business?
Sir.
Yes, go ahead, Robert.
Quickly, I wanted to introduce Michael Hurlbert, who's...
Yeah, hold on a second. Let's let folks, can you clear, I'm sorry, guys, can you clear the room? Ruth, could you clear the room, please? Yeah, we got some other business to do. All right, go ahead, Robert.
Thank you. I just wanted to introduce Michael Hurlbert, our new Community Development Department Director. And Mike's been with us for about 2 weeks now, and just three long weeks. Just wanted to introduce Mike for you.
Welcome. I've worked with Mike too, so I'm in economic development, kind of. And so we've had an opportunity to work together. He's worked more closely with Scott. The county seems to be stealing all the really good people around in all the cities and economic development agencies, so cherry pickers. But welcome.
To our advantage.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, Mike, we look forward to working with you. I know that you're a great guy, and we'll work well.
Don't get crazy, Kevin.
Thank you very much, and I also wanted to thank you all for your service, volunteering on this board. It's a very important board, and we appreciate all that you do for it. Thank you.
Thanks. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Unofficially, I don't want to embarrass